Hey guys, it's Michelle from Cozy Egg, and this is episode 20. Today is Friday, November 11th, so it's Veterans Day. Today would be a working day for me. We don't get today as a holiday, but I ended up taking the day off as comp time for some of the extra hours that I've been working lately. So I'm overdue for recording, and I wanted to take the first opportunity that I had to try to get something on camera. So I'm back in the dining room today with my kimono quilt. Hopefully the lighting is a little better. Eric and I have been working on that, so hopefully we will continue to get that situation improved. But to me, right this minute, it looks much better, not quite as dark. So anyway, so let's get started. I have tons and tons of stuff to show you. So dark October stitching. I know that, in my last video, I talked a little bit about what I had done the first part of the month and what my plans were for the second part of the month. But I just wanted to do a whole kind of dark October recap with you, and share with you some of the things that I worked on, some of the things I started, some of the things that I finished, and hopefully I managed to bring all of them with me. So, stitching bag. This is my sugar skull bag, and I have it kind of full to bursting. Skeletons on the inside. And of course, scissor jail. So of course the first thing that I worked on for Dark October was a new start, and it was Stacy Nash Cast Your Spells. And I know I've shown this to you already, but just in the interest of a full recap. So here's my piece, Cast Your Spells, and I really enjoyed working on this piece. I finished it basically in that first week of October. I started it and finished it. I've had this in my stash forever. I mean, years and years, I think. And I love it. I don't know why it took me so long to stitch it. So, it's DMC, and I think it's on 32 count. Yep, 32 count, 2/2. So, very happy with it. And this was from a Stacy Nash club. This was a club kit through Country Sampler in Spring Green, Wisconsin. And I think I've got 3 more kits. One's like a Valentine's Day one. I think there's a winter one, and I don't remember what the other one was. But anyway, I have 3 more kits that I can work on at some point. But at least this one is done. So that's the first thing that I worked on in Dark October. And then I pulled out and started Halloween Garden by the Primitive Needle. Let me get that out to show you. So this is the whole piece. Halloween Garden, the Primitive Needle. Let's see if that'll focus. I love this piece. I loved it as soon as it came out, and I don't know why it took me so long to actually start it. And this is it came in this little bag with the 35 count putty by Weeks Dye Works linen, and then it calls for Weeks Dye Works threads. And so here is how much I got done. And I basically worked on this the second week of Dark October stitching. So I really enjoyed that. And I think I mentioned in my last video that in the model, you can see she's got those orange letters lined up, you know, boom, 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 right on top of each other. I mixed mine up because I liked that a little better. So, but I love that little owl. I love the stars. I love the key. So yeah, I really enjoyed working on that one. I'm so glad that I started it as well. One of the things that I loved about doing Dark October stitching is it was the impetus to get me to start some of the things that I had not started, that I've had forever that I really wanted to stitch and for some reason just never started. So there you go. So I worked on a Halloween garden, and so then the next thing I did, I almost forgot that it was, you know, the 13th of the month. And so of course we do dark 13 stitching on the 13th of the month. And so I wanted to show you what I worked on for the 13th. So I hadn't really planned anything specific for the 13th of the month. And then of course, as I got to going through all of my charts and my stash and everything, looking for stuff for Dark October stitching, I came across a ton of charts of Halloween houses, and it reminded me that I had that ill-fated Halloween neighborhood round robin that I talked about several videos ago. That, you know, when it eventually made its way back to me, the piece that was kept by someone in the round robin, she kept my piece and another person's piece for, I want to say, you know, 8 months, a year, something like that, and we had no hope of ever getting them back. So I started a new piece, with thanks to a very sweet stitcher that provided me with a replacement piece of fabric. So my original round robin, I don't know that I've ever, maybe I've shown it to you. So this was my initial block, and this is from Village of Hawk Run Hollow, so you're probably familiar with that. I reversed it because I wanted the tree to be on this side. And of course, I didn't stitch all that black background, so I just stitched the bats. And so my plan for this round robin was that I was going to do a Halloween neighborhood, so all Halloween houses and everything. But then I was going to have this graveyard down at the bottom. And so one of the folks that stitched on my piece before it went missing stitched this drawn thread piece. Super cute with the bats and the ghost at the top and the little witch and everything. And then strangely, the person that kept my piece stitched a block as well. And so she stitched that Halloween house right there. That tree's a little weird looking, but whatever. So of course, you know, when I had started a new piece to replace this piece, I have been slowly cutting off parts of this as I go. And here's I think this is when I talked about it, was when I showed you my first day ornament. So I've been slowly cutting off pieces of this as I go. And it has become several new samplers. So I think what I may do with these pieces is cut them into, you know, little ornament sized pieces and stuff them with crushed walnut shells and put them in a bowl or something for Halloween. So, and then so I'm going to show you this is a roundabout way to show you what I did for Dark 13 stitching, but I got to thinking about this piece and I decided that maybe, you know, 7 years, 8 years later, whatever it is, was the time to finally get it out and and do something with it. So this is my replacement piece, and it's got, you know, some great houses on it. I love most of the houses that were stitched on here. I think they turn out great. You know, I got a couple of prairie schoolers here that you probably recognize. This is a Just Nan piece, and I love that skeleton there and these frogs in the tree. This is that Just Nan, I mean not Just Nan, the drawn thread piece that I showed you, and from the other one. And then this is another prairie schooler as well. So I didn't even, like, my block was supposed to go down here. I didn't even restitch it. I just got this piece of fabric, sent it back out. Everybody stitched on it. And when it came back to me, I threw it in the closet because I was disgusted with it at that point. I'm trying to get the window out of the picture. So anyway, so this is set in my closet forever, 7 years, whatever. And so during Dark October stitching, I thought, you know, I want to do something special for Dark 13 stitching in the month of October. And so I decided to pull my piece out, and I decided to finally stitch something new on it. So this is what I stitched. This is a Primitive Needle. This is another freebie of hers. This is called By the Light of the Moon. And I changed it a little bit. So there's not quite as many bats in mine as there were in hers. And she had charted these little things here with like caper or not moss, caper or bark or something, which was basically the exact same color of the tree. And I thought, well, I don't want to do that. I want to make them some other color. And then I got to thinking, what the heck are those anyway? Well, I finally decided that they were mushrooms. Because what else would you be out picking by the light of the moon if not mushrooms? So I changed them to be, was a limited edition Gentle Arts I had called Parched Bones, and I think they turned out really good. And now they look a little more like mushrooms. So I really stitching this, and I had forgotten that when I got this freebie from Primitive Needle, I had originally set it aside to stitch on here because I thought it would be perfect on this piece, and I think it really works. I'm really happy with it, and it made me kind of fall back in love with this piece again so that maybe I can actually finish it. So there was one other thing about this piece that was causing me to not love it, and that was one of the blocks that someone stitched on it. You know, it wasn't my taste. I didn't really think that it went with the rest of the blocks, and every time I looked at it, I was kind of like, I don't love that block. It doesn't go. And because it was more cutesy than creepy. And while, you know, some of these pieces are not super, super creepy, it just didn't work. So I am in the process of ripping that out. And it's a pain in the ass to rip out, let me tell you. If you think ripping your own stitching out is bad, try ripping out someone else's stitching. Because you don't actually know how someone else stitches per se until you're trying to get those stitches back out. And this has been painful, but it's coming out. So that's what I've been working on. After I finished stitching By the Light of the Moon, I've been working on ripping out this other block, and I already have, I went through all of my charts and I chose, sorry, I'm going to move the camera again. I chose some other houses that I think would be perfect for my village, so my neighborhood. So I'm really excited to get those out and start making this piece be something that I really love, which is what it started out as. And unfortunately, it took a bad detour along the way. So I've kind of mapped out where I'm going to go. I am going to restitch that village, the cemetery down here in the corner, and then I've got some other tombstones and cemetery type things that I'm going to put down in there, down at the bottom. I've got some other cute houses that I think will be great on here, and so I'm really excited about finally getting it done and working on it. And you know, I think it's going to be really fun when it's finished. So now I just have to get the rest of that silly pumpkin house out. And I feel, let me just say this. So I feel bad about taking someone else's stitching out. That it really smacks of me not being appreciative of the time that it took someone to stitch that. But in the end, it's my piece and I have to be happy with it. Otherwise, it's just going to lay in a closet for the next 7 to 10 years. So I want to have it and I want to be happy with it. So I'm very appreciative of all of the ladies that stitched on my piece, including the one that I'm ripping out. But I'm going to rip it out anyway. So that was my dark 13 stitching for October. I worked on By the Light of the Moon, started that, and then once I finished that, and I think I finished that in 2 or 3 days, and then I started ripping out that other pumpkin kind of just as I went, when I had a few minutes that I didn't want to pull out all of my stitching and work on something big. Now I've got pieces of thread in my hair. Probably not the first time. Won't be the last time. Oh, so I did change those mushrooms to parched bones, like I said. The orange that it called for on the chart, it called for pumpkin, Weeks pumpkin, which I didn't have. So I used sweet potato instead because that's what I had. So I have a sweet potato pumpkin instead of a pumpkin. And that fabric, my replacement fabric, is 35 count brandy by Country Stitch. And like I said, that was gifted to me by one of the ladies in the round robin. And so I appreciated her enabling me to be able to continue with the round robin. Okay, so then what else did I work on in Dark October? I worked on Blacked Sky, and this is how far I got. I finished the first block. And I'm thrilled with it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. And if you hear snoring, that would be Ramsey's. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. And I'm excited to get started on another block. But once I finished this block, I thought that was a good place to stop. So there it is. And this is on 40 count vintage pear, which is what it calls for. And I'm stitching it with the pure palette silks, that's what it was charted in. And then and then it also calls for some silken colors, silks. And speaking of which, so this is probably like my only bit of stash enhancement to share, is finally the last silken colors that I need for Black and Sky. So this is Thread Gather Silken Colors, Wart Frog. And it's so pretty. Don't you think? I love silken colors. So anyway, got that in. Worked on Black and Sky. And just a reminder, if you don't recall what this piece looks like, Emily is also stitching it, but there's the whole thing. Primitive needle, Black and Sky. So Emily is stitching on it, and I think she just finished this block during Dark October. And then one of my other Instagram buddies, I could think of her Instagram name, I can't think of her first name. I think it's June, maybe. Judy, maybe it's Judy. JCash77, I think is her Instagram name. Anyway, she just started this as well, and so I've been enjoying watching her stitch on her first block also. So that has been fun, and every time I work on this, I really enjoy it, and I'm always anxious to get back to it. So Black and Sky. And then, so I worked on that like the third week in October. And so then, here's some of the pure palette silks, which I know I've shown before, but I will show them to you again because they're just so pretty. And they're squishy like the silken colors. So pretty. Okay, so so then I decided to work on something I do not have a photo of, maybe. I have a black and white photo because all I have is my working copy. Halloween Fairy by Nora Corbett, that was in some magazine somewhere. Cross stitch and needlework. No idea when, but this was several years ago. But anyway, so that's what it looks like in black and white. So I started that on my piece of Phantom. By Silk Weaver. Oh, this piece of fabric is just delicious. Like seriously delicious. And this is, it's 32 count Phantom by Silk Weaver. Now this is an old piece of Silk Weaver. This is probably from like 2006, 2007 era Silk Weaver. I do not know if they make this color anymore. I do not know if they do make it, if it's even remotely close to what this looks like. But it is just, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of fabric. I'm so glad that I held on to it because I almost sold it. So I'm so glad that I held on to it. I got some crazy stuff going on with my hair. It's like, hey, look, 1992. Anyway. So, and I'm stitching this with the called for DMC. You can see that I have started, this is like the bodice of her dress and then the top of her skirt. And yeah, and my fantastic needle minder that my friend Kim gave to me for my birthday that was really perfect for dark October stitching. So I started on this and I got bored really quickly. Yeah. And I don't have any of the chronic or any of the beads that this calls for. So I couldn't even like skip around and do some beading or some sparkly stuff. So yeah. Maybe it'll get more exciting next time. I was going to go in and do the trick or treat part where it says trick or treat, but yeah, that's in chronic. So no sparkliness for me. So I worked on that. I think I said that was DMC. And so then the next thing that I worked on, I just decided to go totally, off program since I got so bored with that. And I decided to stitch this sugar skull. This is an ornament that was from the Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue a bunch of years ago. I don't even know. It's by Monster Bubbles, and it's called El Dia de los Muertos, obviously. I switched up the colors because I was not in love with some of the colors that it used, and I was trying to use stuff that was on hand, and it did call for some green thread, which obviously since I was stitching it on this green fabric, I didn't use. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. And over here where this little star is, so like on the chart it had just like 4 lines of 4 different colors, which I just thought was sort of goofy looking, so I replaced it with a star, and I like that much better. This fabric is it's 28 count. The color is Rainforest, and it's by Crossed Wing, which I know because I still have a tag on it. But yeah, I love it. I love this fabric. I think it's fabulous. Actually, it's intended for another piece, but I decided I would stitch that on there. So I stitched that, enjoyed it. It was fun stitching on the green fabric. I'm glad I did, because then I was stitching on something I was enjoying. So yeah, oh, and that was with Gentle Arts sampler threads, cast threads. And then for Halloween night, so Halloween typically, our normal thing that we do is we order pizza and we stay in and pretend that we're not home because we don't want to answer the door. So we pretend that we're not home, and we usually watch a movie of some sort. For years and years and years, what I would watch on Halloween was Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love that movie. The acting in it is horrible, but I love the movie, and I love Gary Oldman in it, and I love the costumes. I love the cinematography. I thought it was fantastic, and so it's one of my favorite movies. So that's typically what we watch. I've kind of been mixing it up the past few years. Last year I think we watched Sleepy Hollow. So this year I was trying to decide what I wanted to watch, and I'd been itching to restart Penny Dreadful from the beginning. Now that I had seen the end, I wanted to restart it from the beginning. And so we watched, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes of that Halloween night. And I will say that now knowing where we're going, there are a lot of things that I am picking up on this time around that I missed the first time, which is always the case when you rewatch something. But there are a lot of clues and hints, I think, about where we're going that you don't know at the time. So, okay, but what did I work on Halloween night? I decided to work on my mini jewel scarabs, which seemed fitting because in the first episode, Night Work, they talk about and then end up using carrion beetles on the vampire body. So anyway, it seemed appropriate and slightly dark and twisted. So anyway, I worked on this. This is my very first Dimples Design chart to ever work on, and it came with fabric and thread, and it's got all the little Krynics in it. I think it's just DMC. So I made a teeny tiny star. Oh, here's so this is the Dia de los Muertos, and it was from the September-October 2010 issue of Just Cross Stitch, if you're interested. So anyway, and I can put my thread conversion up on my blog with the rest of the show notes. Okay, so this is my teeny tiny start on the jeweled scarabs. Yeah, like I was way more interested in watching Penny Dreadful than I was on stitching. But it's got some Krynic in it, so it's sparkly, which is fun. Yeah, you can kind of see that. It's not going to focus that close, but look how sparkly. And my needle minder is from my dear friend Abby Bella Stitch. She sent me this, which I love. And I love that she puts the little glass piece on the back of her, on that back magnet, because it makes it really easy to take off. Because usually, with just the flat magnets, I end up sort of running my thumbnail in between there to get it off and injure myself. So anyway, that's my teeny tiny start on jeweled scarabs. That is this beetle right here. So really excited to work more on that. Not sure when, but I'm happy that I started it. Very happy. And that reminds me, I need to share that. Okay, so that was really it for Dark October stitching. And I'm so thrilled that so many people joined Emily and I in doing Dark October stitching. And it was fun to go and look at the hashtag on Instagram and see what everybody was stitching and working on, and find some new pieces I'd never seen before and all of that. So, and I thought that I would share with you a couple of framed pieces that I got out and had around the house. So this piece, this is from This is a piece from Primitive Betty's that I stitched several years ago. And it's stitched on a hand-dyed fabric. I think this is an R&R fabric, and I think it's called Pumpkin Spice, something like that, and it's just with black DMC. I'm trying to not get the reflection, but I found this frame, and then I just I loved this gingham check ribbon, and so I made it so that it would hang. Cute. I love that little piece. It's just a little primitive piece. And then this piece, this is the first time that I ever stitched with silk, and it was also one of the first linen pieces that I stitched, and it was the first one I'd stitched over one. So this is a Bright Needle piece, if you're familiar with them. All of their stuff is over one. And I think I just lost my light. Okay, yeah, I did lose my light. I'll have to figure out what went on there, but anyway. So, half light from here on out. So anyway, this is my Bright Needle piece, and I think this is called House on Booberry Lane. And it's a teeny tiny little thing, as you can see. But I just love this piece. I really do. So anyway, I had those out for Halloween. Thought I would share. And oh, and the other thing that I worked on, I totally forgot. So I did something crazy because you know, I was feeling really bad that I wasn't working on Village during October. So I thought, what can I do? And I think I mentioned last time, oh, I could stitch down to that 12, you know, block 12 and work on it. And then I quickly decided that was a dumb idea and crazy. And I mentioned it in the Facebook group for Let's All Move to Hawk Run Hollow. And everybody was like, yeah, that's crazy, don't do it. Well, the quickest way to tell me that, you know, to get me to do something is to tell me that I can't, right? So, guess what I did? I counted across there, and then I counted down. And there's block 12. So I started on it. And this is my other fantastic needle minder from Abby. This snake, I thought it was appropriate on here because of the snake in block 1. I just love that. Love it. And he's sparkly, which is even better. And she sent me this fantastic card. It's like so crazy. I love it. Love it. Anyway, and so, and I did also go dig out a box so that I could put my Village threads in it. Again, I've only pulled thread for one block at a time, but this is way better than having my little bobbins on a ring, because that was making me nuts with all the thread coming off of there. It's crazy town. So thank you Abby Bella Stitch for my needle minders. I very much appreciate them, And obviously you can see that they are already in use. So if you want to get your hands on some of her fabulous needle minders, she has a Facebook group, Bella Stitch, asked to join, and you too can get your hands on some fab needle minders. And then I also wanted to share, so my friend Kim, who has made several needle minders that she's given me over the years, she also shared with me at Guild the other night that she is making these thread cards. And so I got to pick one out, and this is the one I chose. And it won't focus. That's okay. But I just love it. I love that striped hat. And so you just thread your threads in here, and then it's got this great stripe on the back, and it's hard, you know, good cardstock. So if you are interested in these or in some of her needle minders or anything, shoot me a note and I will get you her contact information. But I just thought that was too cool and perfect for October stitching. So thank you, Kim. And so let's see, what else? Oh yes, I did one other thing. So before I move on to other stitching stuff, I want to share the other piece of dark October stitching that I did, although it's not technically stitching. So here's my bag that I made. This is from a panel that I bought in Paris, and I love it. I love these arrows. This is Juliana Horner fabric. I made this a while ago for myself, knitting bag, and then it's got stars on the inside. So what would be more perfect than starting a shawl for fall? So this is my, this is Yowza Miss Babs yarn. So fantastic. This is the Joan of Arc colorway. Perfectly fall. So I thought, you know, that would be a perfect thing to start for dark October stitching. So I'm gonna start myself a new shawl. So you probably remember the Way It shawl number 1 that I did. This is Way It shawl number 2 by Susan B. Anderson. And this is what this one is going to look like. So it's not a crescent shape like the other one. And I'm having to learn some new stitches that I did not know how to do. Like I had to learn how to use stitch markers. I had to use how to do a yarn over. So scary. And I'm using my, this is my new set of signature needles. And these are size 9. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see that because my light sucks because my light died. So anyway, and here's my teeny tiny start. So yay, I'm kind of thrilled with that. So I haven't worked on it that much, but I'm really enjoying it when I do. So, yay, dark October stitching, dark October knitting. So I will continue to work on that and maybe have a new shawl for myself soon. or not so soon. Okay, so what else have I been working on since I finished up with Dark October stitching? I went back to Anniversaries of the Heart. This is in my Liberty bag. And so I'm working on Clara Ellen, which is pattern 8, Blackbird Designs. And I actually have it off the Q-snap, so I will show you the whole thing. So, there's the whole thing so far. And this is the block I'm working on. Let me move my needle minder so you can actually see behind that. There you go. So this block is for my niece. So it's got her name on there. So, yep. So, working on that, but I'm not really enjoying it. So I've been trying to make myself work on it, which that doesn't really work out so well. And then on Tuesday, so on election day, I was feeling really, really super anxious. And just the later it got in the day, the more anxious I got. And I was working from home that day, and because I was going to go vote, and it was bad. Anyway, and so in an effort to try to calm myself, I took my stitching and I went into the other room and decided to start a little ornament and watch some Flosstube. So that's what I did. And so this ornament, and I don't even have the chart because all I had was my little working copy handy. The ornament is actually going to be mounted on this horn book, this little mini horn book. And it is on this midnight, I think this is 40 count, maybe midnight by Lakeside, and it's stitched with Belle Soie icing, I think is the color. Maybe. But this is called Yuletide Horn Books by Milady's Needle. And it was a kit that she released, and it had a white piece of fabric and some red Florimel silk to go with it, or you could stitch it on the blue with the Belle Soie. I think it's icing. But there's my little start. That's the snowman's hat. But it's a little snowman, and it's got a little bunny and a squirrel or something down at the bottom, I think. Anyway, so that's all I got done, but it was enough. It was enough to kind of relax me and keep me from freaking out on election day. So, little new start for that Christmas ornament. I just needed something quick that I could sort of grab. And so then later that night, I got to thinking about, the election and all of that, and I decided that I decided to start something else new. And so I pulled this out. And this was actually a birthday gift from a friend of mine a while back. And so this is the Lady Liberty sampler by Threads Through Time. And I just thought it was kind of a fitting piece to work on the night of the election while we waited for the returns to come in. And so she kitted this up for me with, I believe these are silks. I think some of them are HDF. But it's got some pretty colors in it. And she also had the fabric in here. So there's my little start. I started on the flag and then the eagle with the olive branches. I thought that was an appropriate place to start. So and I changed the shield here. It was actually supposed to be pink, but I thought red was more fitting, so I changed that to be red. So I've worked on that the past couple of nights. I'm not sure if I'll keep going on it or if I'll go back to Anniversaries the Heart. I'm not really sure. I'm having a hard time focusing, and I'm not really getting real far with my stitching at night, unfortunately. So I need to find something that's going to make me excited to stitch. Not sure what that's going to be though. So that was another new start. And nothing on the quilting front. I've pulled fabric for a fall quilt that I really wanted to start, and I just haven't had the chance to do that. Maybe in November. And when I went to Quilt Guild the last week of October, I actually won one of the drawings. And so I got this stack of, I think they're fat halves of some Michael Miller solids. So not sure what I will do with these, but kind of loving that mustard color. So I will find something to do with them, but I thought that was kind of fun that I won the drawing. So yeah. And so that and my thread that came in are really the only stash enhancement that I have had, and then the gifts from Kim and from Abby. So shout outs, I've been watching, I started watching Trisha. I think her Flosstube is 3 Owls stitching, maybe. So I started watching her videos, which I've been enjoying. I was glad to see that Evergreen Needle posted some new videos up, which was great. I've been missing seeing her beautiful stitching. And I don't know who else I've been watching. It's been a little crazy, so I haven't spent a whole lot of time watching stuff. But I'm still, I have several podcasts that I listen to as well. And so one of the ones I wanted to mention, kind of in conjunction with Dark October Stitching, is a podcast called Lore, Lore. And it's all about kind of spooky, creepy, scary stories. They're pretty quick little segments, but it's a fun podcast to listen to, especially if you like that sort of thing. And I've been listening to season 2 of Undisclosed. which I enjoy. I typically listen to that in the car on the way to and from the office, if I'm going into the office. So, and so what have I been reading? So, I think I mentioned that I was reading The Dream Thieves. This is book 2 of the Raven Boys cycle series. I have been reading this forever. And it's good. It's just not holding my attention. So, I took a little break from this and read this, which is fantastic, and everyone should read it. It's sad, but it's also, it was really kind of perfect timing for me, because it dealt a lot with, you know, doing things that you've always wanted to do, and doing things that kind of break you out of your shell, and thinking about the kind of life that you want to lead, and not living a life that's just based on fear. So anyway, so then I went back to reading this, and I'm almost done with it. I have a little bit more, and once I finish that, I have this to read. I've heard magnificent things about this. I can't wait to read it. And so this is up next. And I posted up a photo the other day, and it's like everything I'm reading is the same color. Just by coincidence. So anyway, I think that that's it. I haven't really worked on anything else, and like I said, you know, since finishing it with Dark October, I haven't been really excited about stitching anything. But the 13th of the month is coming up, and so of course the 13th of every month, join Emily and I for Dark 13 stitching, and pull out those creepy, scary, macabre pieces that you really enjoy, that we really enjoy, and stitch on those on the 13th of the month. So I think I may try to get back to my Halloween round robin, maybe. We'll see. So anyway, that's it for me. I'm sorry that the light only worked for half of the video. Hopefully I can get that sorted out for next time. And thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate it. You can find me on my blog, cozyeggg.cozyeggdesigns.com. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Periscope. I'm never really on Periscope. All those places as Cozy Egg. I'm on Ravelry as Cozy Egg. So yeah, come find me. And if you're interested in joining us for the Village of Hawk Run Hollow Sal, or if you want to stitch another Hawk Run Hollow piece, come join Abby and I in the Facebook group Let's All Move to Hawk Run Hollow. We're also using that hashtag on Instagram. And join Emily and I, Emily of Eclectic Possessions. Join us for Dark 13 stitching on Instagram. And look forward to seeing more of what everybody's working on and all that good stuff. So thanks so much. I appreciate you joining. I appreciate you watching, and for being interested in what I'm working on. So thanks, guys. Bye.